All right, story time. So like last week, not too long ago, I booted up my computer and decided to play Wayfinder. And I was working on my Senja tank build. And I mean really working on it. And for reasons, I had to take a break. And when I decide to take a break, I will sometimes go on Discord, look at the news, see if there's any updates, any patches, and that's when I saw it.
What in the ass?
A Deadpool cosplay. So like any rational player, I decided to go back and reskin my Senja. And that's how I came up with my Joker cosplay. Fast forward a few days, I was watching Deadpool while playing with Legacy, and that's when the idea hit me. Could I make a Cable Legacy build with Silo without it, well, being ass? So I went straight to work, crafting a build. First off, the things to consider: what skills can we give him? Grenades and explosives? Check. Shield regeneration? Check. And last but not least, break power? Check. So after putting in work, working with dozens of different accessories, echoes, strategies, I finally got something together and found something that would work and an effective system. And these are the stats that I ended up settling on. And this is my Silo Future Soldier build. So what we have here is we have a lot of max health, so that way he's pretty tanky. We have a lot of weapon power to boost the shield. And then all of these stats we have in the just below 3k range. And then we have a lot of magic defense, and the physical defense doesn't have to be so high because we're going to be doing a lot of dodging with this build. And break power is another important stat line. So we're going to be using the Beastmaster set for weapon power, max health, and break power damage. Legacy has really good crit power stats built into it, so I wanted to use that effectively, which is the reason why I'm using Silo with him. So we're going to be using the first artifact to get the bonus AP, and then we're going to be using the Reaver King to get the bonus crit. And then for these echoes that we're going to be using, we aren't going to be overcapping at all. The first one is going to be the Hollow Horror Echo. Then we got the Frostbreak, Bone Stomper, which is really good health bonus. We're going to be using Night's Maw, and then we're going to be using the Hollow Horror. So we can upgrade these two Hollow Horrors if we wanted to. We got enough echo capacity slot space. And then for this one, we're going to be using Bloodletter, we're going to be using Autorock, Frostbreak, and another Frostbreak. If we wanted to, we could replace this Frostbreak and throw in another Rush Echo. We got the space for it. And then we're going to be using Bloodletter here, and Reaver Warbear. We got enough room to upgrade the Reaver Warbear if we want to. We got Blood Spawn, and then we got Bone Stomper. If we want to, we can upgrade both of those to purple as well, and they should fit. And then we got the Riven Maw, and then we got another Riven Maw. For perfect slotting, we would do 2 purple Riven Maws that would fit right in there. And that's how I got this stat line. And then when we go to abilities, we're going to be using a lot of bombs, so that's going to be the most important skill. So we're going to max out the Oil Bomb to level 3, so that way we can get the Guard Break as well as the critical hit. And then we're going to be maxing out the Fire Bomb, just because we're going to be using a lot of Fire Bombs, so might as well max out the stats. We're going to be using the Clone, so go ahead and use the first pip there. Now we aren't going to put any pips in the Arc Nemesis because it doesn't last very long. We end up getting more damage if we put the pips into the bombs. We got Strategic Advantage, so 10% bonus to enemies that are on fire. We got Exposed Weakness, which is an additional 10% damage every time after we do a critical strike. And then when we look at the affinities, our first one is going to be Increase Strategic Advantage, so that brings it up to 20%. Our ultimate meter is going to fill up really fast from doing these basic attacks. We're just going to pop it off every time that we get it. All right. We aren't going to save it for anything because it doesn't do any big damage. And then we got our Discipline. We're going to do an additional crit chance on enemies on fire. And then we got Basic Attach will reduce the cooldowns on enemies that are on fire. And this is really effective, especially for throwing bombs. I'm going to show you guys in a second. We can actually get 3 bombs off on a consistent basis instead of just 2. And then when we go to the Masteries, we're going to use Critical Opener, which is going to give us a 20% bonus of crit chance for 6 seconds after using a dash. We're going to be dashing a lot with this build. I'm going to show you how we use it. Oh, caught him playing with the balls. Knew it.
Let's see some fireworks.
So you can see here, I can do consistent Beastmaster runs close to around a minute consistently with this build. So it is very efficient to use. The first skill I'm going to show you guys how to use is going to be Lock On. So if you use Lock On for targets when you're using melee, it'll actually make you skate across the map. So that way you can close in on enemies really quick. If you did not know that, it is an effective skill. And then we are at the training dummies. So it does reduce your stats here, so don't mind the numbers. But I'm going to show you guys my combination that I like to use. So what I like to do is I like to bring my damage up to 200%. And the goal is to try to keep it there. Alright, we are doing a lot of things, so you have to watch that meter. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be dashing in and out every once in a while. So that way we can keep that critical damage bonus from our mastery going. And then when we get our shield charge, we'll do a ground slam, so that way we can activate blood spawn, do area damage, as well as activate our pips, so that way we can get our overshield. When we use our bombs, we're going to go fire bomb, oil bomb, fire bomb, fire bomb. Now it allows us to do this because the cooldown resets because we're hitting targets on fire. So instead of using 2 fire bombs, we get the capability of using 3. And we want to try to keep the percentage at 200. It's really hard to do because sometimes we'll have to get a hit in between throwing the bombs to keep it up and not lose that percentage damage. Now I wanted to add in real quick, this build is great for speed running support. I've been having a lot of fun playing with this in the helper queue, and I think I'm going to keep this as my helper queue build. Now with these strategies in mind, I'm going to show you this Reaver King run. So most of our damage is going to be coming from these bombs that we're going to be throwing because we're throwing off 3 at once. We always want to keep that percentage up, trying around 200% because that actually stacks with the bombs. And we are going to want to try and keep our crit percentage up, so that's why we are doing the dash attacks. So this is a support type of build, so this works really well for AOE damage and then buffing everybody with shields. So as you can see, we're going to just use a couple of those strategies I was just showing you, and we're going to do a lot of AOE bomb fire damage. So you can see I'm not going to take very much because this build is really tanky. I'm not going to take very much damage from the Reaver King. This is only sphere 1, so it's not a very high sphere, but this is like too easy, to be honest. So we are just going to just keep throwing the bombs. You can see all the white numbers. Those are crit numbers coming off. And if we have our percentage up when we throw our bombs, instead of 200 damage, you'll see it's 400 damage on a consistent basis when we throw those bombs. So that's why we got to watch that meter and try whatever we do to keep it at 200%. So if we have to stop in the middle of throwing bombs to get a hit in, that's what we got to do. Every once in a while we got to dash in and out to keep the crit percentage going, but that's pretty much the build. You can see the numbers just flying off like crazy. This run, I think I did it in about 3 minutes, which isn't too bad. Like that's a pretty solid run. Like I said, this isn't like a mass DPS build. This is like an AOE / shield support build. So that's it. Too easy. Took almost no damage during that. Just keep dodging in and out. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. Do you like the build? Do you like these cosplay builds? Do you want me to do some more of them? Tell me what you think, what you got in mind. Got any ideas? If you got any pictures of any good cosplays, send them to me and I'll see if I can build something around it. I don't know. That's it for today's episode. Make sure you subscribe so that way you can stay tuned in for more in the future. And as always, until next time, Wayfinders.